The wanted and the unwanted together forever.
Whether we want
Feels
me or not.
foolish. Exactly. Yeah, and that's it. This is part of a real skills workshop where we're acknowledging the difficulty of that reality. And I will tell you that without EFT tapping and all the work I've done on, like, even though this is an unwanted reality, I deeply and completely accept where I am and how I feel. Uh, I I don't know that I'd be doing this workshop because I've often felt the pull of the unwanted when I'm in kind of my primitive brainish stressed place. And I've also felt the pull of the wanted when I really want to be thriving and I'm putting a lot of energy toward my thriving. Does the same type of thing happen to you?
Yeah, I mean, studying Buddhism, a lot of it is about being with what is. Being one of the sayings that I love, and I have it on my door. I can see it from here. It says just this. And it's like just this moment, just this experience that I often will be like, oh, if it was just prettier, if I was more organized, if I had, gotten up a little bit earlier, if I'd been kinder to that person, whatever. There's always the exception to being in this moment. I'm always like, it would be perfect and I could allow myself to enjoy it if only I hadn't done that. So the just this is just like, just this with me with, I still have to take a shower today and I didn't send the email that I was supposed to do and I didn't put the dishes away yet, but just this as it is just what is. This is the moment we have. And it's sometimes hard for me to embrace the good things and it's definitely hard for me to like it's not necessarily wrong or bad that I didn't put the dishes in the dishwasher yet. It's just what's there. Um, and I think it's a tough topic, especially in our society where so much of the media, we're really brainwashed daily, bombarded with you have to look a certain way, you have to always have fresh teeth, fresh breath, fresh, like a deodorant, your hair should be just right, your makeup should be just right, you have the right car, the right clothes, you should never be out of energy, you should never be sick. Like we're constantly bombarded with that. And basically we're not okay until we get that. And really that's not who humans are. That's not who we are as beings. And if the more I can kind of peel that away and say, "Oh, me being sick is not a failure on my part or a failure on life's part. It's just this is what today is. Just this." Is it's the more I can step into that, the more I am enjoying the richness of life and not just kind of waiting until things are okay to actually enjoy the few moments where my brain judges that it's okay to relax and enjoy that moment. Because they're very, very few, and that's really a arbitrary judgment on my brain's part, deciding that something's okay or not. It's like, oh, things lined up enough with all the history I have and all the lessons I've learned in my life to decide, oh, this moment is okay. I'd rather live much more of my life not being perfect and be in the moments just with people, just be here with you right now. Even though, things aren't perfect. I'm like, oh, I probably should have moved to the other computer because I can see people a little better when it's not. This is what it is. I can see you. We can hear each other. It's okay.
I was attracted to EFT tapping in order to be okay, to accept myself. And in our kind of energy framework inside of my own body, if I'm in acceptance that just this, there's a quality of now, driving now. There's a quality of being present
Mhm.
right here. And so a lot of the tapping, the standard tapping is even though this thing, which is drawing me away from my now, drawing me away from feeling neutral, okay, I deeply and completely accept myself. To me, that's an energetic, I'm right here, right now. This skill about the wanted and the unwanted says, is there a spectrum of preference? And yeah, you know, and so what do we do with that spectrum of preference? If I if I turn to the unwanted and I start focusing my primitive brain on it, what happens in my body? Now the unwanted is getting bigger and bigger. It's getting more of my life force. Well, yeah, because there's parts of us that recognize the unwanted is is often where threat lives. Now, one of the things Kathy was, I think we were talking before the workshop. One of the challenges with the unwanted getting bigger and bigger is that one, it's really hard to be with the unwanted. And at some point in my experience, if I'm focused very intensely on the unwanted, my nervous system, my endocrine system has to do something with it. I'll get really depressed or I'll get really angry. But at the same time, but it's all in that kind of like, how am I coping with my unwanted? The idea behind tapping, which is hard, which is a lot easier to do as we're kind of being drawn toward the unwanted early on, is to come back to, yes, that's unwanted. That's an unwanted reality. And I accept where I am and how I feel. Notice I'm not pushing against it. I'm also not having to dissociate, distract, or not feel, numb out. My dad, he walked around and talked as if there was nothing unwanted happening. Okay. 99% of the time, what came out of his mouth as he interacted with people is, "Oh, I'm good. I'm fine. Yeah, everything's good." But he drank a lot. Which,
And
he,
ice cream all the time, and
yeah. The week he died, he ate 3 triple scoop ice creams, 3 times 3 every day. Like, what was he trying not to feel? Right? So I had that in me. I inherited that. And so this skill I'm sharing, please know, I'm not saying I've mastered this, but there's a feeling of, if I'm trying to get rid of the unwanted, I am totally going to lose it. There is no way for me. On the most beautiful walk I go on in Asheville, there is so much unwanted damage from Helene along my favorite walk. Not much, not, I'm not even talking about the ones I used to love, right? There's so much unwanted damage. And today, the fire azaleas are out. It rained yesterday for the first time in a month, right? Before the rain, I would walk on this trail and you could feel the distress in the plants. It was like, we got to get these leaves out. We've got to figure out some way to get these leaves out. Like, there's a lot of stress. This morning, it was the most peaceful forest I've been in. And they're like, oh man, I got I got some water. Look at my look, fresh leaves. It's so beautiful. The same trees are down, but today it was a little easier, a lot easier for me to feel into the wanted, the peace, the aliveness, the growth, not in denial of the unwanted. I almost tripped over it. I was like, this is so beautiful. I almost tripped over a tree, which would have been unwanted.
yes.
Like, that would have been unwanted. But I didn't. And I'm really grateful that um, this workshop about, like, yeah, there's unwanted, and part of my antidote is to try to seek to be in a place where I can also include the wanted. I will say that sometimes it's post walk, it's post day. Like, I had a day where a Friday, I guess this last Friday, I really felt like this day is full of unwanted. I am never going to do a workshop that has any negative qualities about it ever again. Right? Just like, I was like, forget it. I'm not doing it. Just makes it too big. The next morning at 5 a.m., I I had my coffee, which I wanted, and I had my spirit buddies that I wanted. And the question was there anything yesterday that you wouldn't have wanted to miss? Amidst all of the unwanted, seriously, like amidst all the unwanted, is there anything that you would have not wanted to miss? I was like, oh, yeah. That 7-year-old boy who was riding his bike, who looked at me and said, she's fast. My daughter is five and a half,
An amazing bike ride.
right? And they were buzzing around, and she's just learning a pedal bike. And I'm
She's so
thinking,
good. She's so good.
yeah. Um, can you feel that? It's like in that moment, some part of me did store a wanted. I don't remember feeling it in the moment. And there were other things as well. The time that, that we read the rest of one of the Magic Treehouse books. Um, Emerald was really funny when he came home from his homeschool thing and he was feeling good. Like, I wouldn't want to miss that. But in the moment, the wanteds were clearly there, but they weren't landing. I want to live, I aspire that the wanteds will land more in real time. The wanteds and unwanteds will land more in real time. But if I'm not there yet, when things are really unwanted, um, I at least want to harvest them again, give my being a chance to nourish itself with what was there too.
Yeah.
Is that
No, that makes so much sense. First, I want to appreciate you mentioning feeling the plant's distress. I was thinking I was the only person. Like, if I don't water my plants, I'm like, why am I so thirsty? What's going on? Like, I can feel something's up, and I water them, and I'm fine. So, like, picking up on our environment is huge. Like, especially if we allow ourselves to tune in. And I think when I'm noticed, one thing I've noticed, I'm kind of studying myself, watching myself when I'm partly getting ready for this call and partly just for life. When there's something I don't want, it's like I pull, like, it's like there's something, almost like there's something bad on the ground, and I pull myself up out of the moment. Like, I want to avoid experiencing it. And I think a lot of that comes from my parents were not good at dealing with negative things. They just couldn't handle them. Often their reaction would make the experience worse. So I didn't have role models that said, "Oh, this doesn't feel great, but let's just be with this and like be calm with it and this is how you do it." There wasn't a it was like, "Oh no, knee jerk. This is my brain associate it with actually bad experiences, like, even worse than the like, a glass would fall and break, and then my mom would get really upset, and we'd have to deal with her being upset, which is way worse than the glass sometimes. So there's a whole aversion therapy going on in there, like, "Ah, I don't wanna go anywhere near that." And I have a sense of just pulling myself up out of the moment and not being grounded in the moment. And can we do a little I don't know how other people experience it. I'd love if you wanna share in the chat. But I just think being with if we're not pulling ourselves away from the negative, we have more chance of harvesting those good moments that you're talking about, Rick. The there's mixed in. It's like it's kind of like there's life is like this chocolate chip cookie, and sometimes there's really great chocolate chips, and some days there's just not. It's just really plain, or there's that someone burnt the cookie. It's like it's there's a mixture, but if we're not with the moment, we're not really getting that experience. Does that am I saying that in a
mhm,
way of yeah. Could we do a little
for
tapping?
me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
free.
Would you like to lead?
Yeah. And feel free to if you want if you feel drawn to share like how you experience negative moments because that's something that I think we can learn from each other. A lot of times we don't talk about this in us as a society and there's not a felt sense of what am I actually doing? And it's just a sense like I'm not going to look at it even. It's just I'm not even going there. But until we actually have a sense of it, it's really hard to notice anything. It's really hard to do anything with it. It's just like an avoidance. And it just to me that's like sealing it in a the airtight container. It's never going to process. It's just sealed off. So I invite you to take a if it feels good to your body, take a nice gentle breath. Let yourself flop into your body if that feels good to you. Notice your butt on the seat. Karate chop. Even though I learned to avoid anything negative,
Even though I learned to ignore anything negative
and my mind wants to run away.
and my mind wants to run away.
I really want to distract or reward myself
I want to distract or reward myself
just to get away from that experience.
just to get away from the experience.
What if there might be wisdom and joy in that experience too?
What if there maybe might possibly be wisdom and joy in that experience too?
I'd really like to explore that.
I'd like to explore that.
Top of the head, no one ever taught me how to do that.
Well, no one taught me how to do that.
Eyebrow, I don't even have a clue.
I don't even have a clue.
Side of the eye, aren't we supposed to run away really fast?
Aren't we supposed to run away really fast?
Under the eye, blame somebody.
Blame somebody,
Under the nose, sometimes ourselves.
sometimes ourselves,
And buy something.
buy something,
Collarbone, watch
think
it.
something,
Yeah, eat something, watch TV.
TV.
Under the arm. What if I could be with this moment?
What if I could be with this moment?
Top of the head, this is actually part of my life.
This is actually part of my life.
Eyebrow, why am I throwing away so much of my life?
Why am I throwing away so much of my life?
Side of the eye, there's probably some good things in there too.
There might be some good things in there too.
Under the eye. And if I'm not running away, I might find more wisdom.
And if I'm not running away, I'll probably find more wisdom.
Under the nose, I'm really curious.
I'm really curious.
Then what if I could tell my nervous system it's okay to experience this?
What if I could tell my nervous system it's okay to experience this?
Collarbone, I don't have to do it for hours.
I do not have to do it for hours.
Under there, but 30 seconds might be nice.
30 seconds might be useful.
Top of the head, I bet I can build some muscles for this
I bet I can build some muscles for this
and see what's there.
and see what's there.
And just take a breath.
Whoa. So
And
I'm immediately drawn to another aspect of it. I shared that my father was not someone who talked about what's unwanted. He would point to something and tell us what to do because he didn't want it the way it was, but that was very directive, right?
yeah,
But when it came to the things that, um, so I tell people I thought of writing a book called Not in My Father's Footsteps. And one of the problems with being repulsed by how your parents handled emotions is that it can lock you in and stick you in a place where, well, my father didn't talk about the unwanted, so I am only going to talk about the unwanted.
over here.
And I was stuck for quite a few years. In really like arguing for the unwanted. Beautiful day on the boat, but I'm not learning how to ride this new air chair. And I am absolutely focused on everything that is wrong. The waves are not right. The current is taking me sideways. Like, this is a skills issue. There's nothing actually wrong. But man, I was in my complainer head. And one of the guys on the boat called me out and said, "Hey, Rick, you ever tried not complaining?" I can still hear his voice. Talk about the voice of God in kind of a snarky, uh, real way. But it changed. It changed the course of how I viewed this. And guess what? There's still a part of my nature that at times can go there. And so when I start feeling stuck in it, this is the kind of tapping that I've found. Um, Feel free to adapt it even as we're tapping, as you hear me adapting Kathy's words. Feel free to adapt our words. Even though I can't stand to be around people who are all positive,
Even though I can't stand to be around people that are all positive.
they are in complete denial
They're in complete denial.
They don't see my suffering.
They don't see my suffering.
They don't see how hard it is.
They don't see how hard it is.
They they just want to bypass it into la la land.
They just want to bypass it into La La Land.
And I refuse to be such a person.
I refuse. He's such a person.
And at times I get really focused on the unwanted.
At times I get really focused on the unwanted.
Like it's the only thing that exists.
Yeah, because it's the only thing that exists.
Stop that. The unwanted is everything.
The unwanted is everything.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Out of the eye. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it is.
Under the eye. I've got an infinite list of unwanted.
It's got an infinite list of unwanted.
Under the nose. I could talk for weeks about the unwanted.
I could talk for weeks about the unwanted.
That's how intense the unwanted actually is.
That's how intense the unwanted actually is.
And I refuse to be like them.
And I refuse to be like them.
Under the arm, even if it kills me.
Even if it kills me.
I'll bet. Well, it did almost kill me.
It almost killed me.
It does kind of make me want to leave.
It does make me want to kind of leave.
Side of the eye. And at times I'm aware that there's also the wanted.
And at times I'm aware there's also the wanted.
Under the eye. I'd like to find a sweeter spot.
I'd like to find a sweeter spot.
Under the nose. I can always find the unwanted.
I could always find the unwanted.
That's really easy for me.
It's really easy for me.
And finding the wanted is more of a skill.
Finding the wanted is more of a skill.
Collarbone. I really need to practice that.
I really need to practice that.
It's essential I practice that for my thriving.
It's essential I practice that for my thriving.
Under the arm, but not in denial of the unwanted there too.
Not in the denial of the unwanted there too.
Top of the head. I just know where I want to put my energy.
I just know where I want to put my energy.
Most of it.
Most of it.
Okay.
I agree. The spiritual bypass thing, there's a lot of people out there that they're like, the law of attraction. I won't look at that bad stuff because then it won't happen. It's like, life is not like that. That's not how life works. We don't, I think looking at reality is really challenging, but there's a mixture of good and bad in it. And if we can have a more balanced view, I think that's really important because it gives us more when we're dealing with reality, we actually have leverage. We can make some changes, we can do things, we can be fulfilled, we can also like make changes. If we're not dealing with reality, if we're ignoring parts of reality, we really give up a lot of our power in the world, both the power to be with and enjoy, but also the power to like, hey, this negative I don't like. I want to do something about it. And if we're not looking at it, if we can't see it clearly, it's a lot easier just to kind of flail around and not be able to make any changes. So I think being able to see reality as it is just it's practical as well as a more rich living. And when you were talking about the unwanted, um, I think a lot of times for myself, I will look at the unwanted based through filters of my mind. Like I've decided that this is good and that is bad. I've decided that I like this, I don't like that. I'm not really curious, and I really like going back to the Buddhist, the first approach is to be unknowing, just not to predecide something, not to come in with all your old rules. Because I found that if I can do that, if I can come in not knowing, then be curious, and then take loving action, it's like, oh, I thought I hated vanilla ice cream, but I really actually quite like it. I just, decided that it wasn't special when I was a 3-year-old, and now I hadn't tried it for years, and I tried it with curiosity, and I was like, this is actually quite good. So, like, sometimes what we think is unwanted is or what we think is wanted is, a projection, a story we tell ourselves versus the actual experience with the thing. And I think that's an important part of this is if we can um, go past the stories, the kind of things we paint over the surface of things and be with the actual do I what rather than the story I've told myself that I always my entire life that I only like chocolate ice cream and be curious. It's like, oh, there's a whole richness and a whole other experience that I can have with that. Did you have some tapping you wanted to do that on that?
I tap a lot for this,
Mhm.
especially, there's some big unwanteds in our world.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
and sometimes the really big ones don't move as they're not as useful
Yeah.
for me to play with.
Yeah. No, the
As I'm learning the
the
skill,
hard.
yeah, right. And so like our fence, I love that we live in a natural place. I saw a mama bear and three baby bears the other day as I was heading out to go for my walk. And I really love seeing them in the car. I don't really love seeing them when I'm there, 50 feet away on the trail.
Scary, like,
I-
oh,
But we had a bear, big bear, it looks like, that came through our backyard, went over the fence to our neighbor's yard, and the fence is now leaning. Very unwanted that our fence is now leaning. Now,
wait, right now.
I've been in contact with a number of fence repair people, and for them, this is wanted. This is great. This is a chance for them to come out and say, no, we can save the fence. 5 posts in concrete. We're going to put a 6 by 6 here. Like this one guy was real excited about it, right? Like this is wanted for him. He gets to restructure something. And I'm like, yeah. Do you, so would I tap on something that is wanted by one person and not wanted by another? Like we're there's some people right now that, or no, how can I say that? Imagine someone that feels that they want to assert themselves, even if it damages other people's energy and well-being, but they feel like that's their upright energy. And our upright energy is to do something very different. There's that wanted, unwanted, the yin yang, the black and white, which one's black, which one's white. Um, and so, whether it's a fence or a relationship, part of this together forever is for me to accept that um, the the perspectives and the energy polarities can really be quite contrasty in thriving now lingo, and a lot of people are switching from being, it's negative, it's bad, to being its contrast. And what is it doing? It's showing me something that I want. um in its in this perception, I'm saying, oh, actually, yeah, I want people to stand up for what's right for them, and to do so in a way that doesn't inflict cruelty on others. Like, does that make sense? I I know you have more background, Kathy, and I'm not going to give more than that, but it's one of those things. And I tap a lot, like, you know, even though this is really unwanted for me,
Even though this was really unwanted for me,
some people want it.
some people want it.
Some people are celebrating.
Some people are celebrating.
Yeah.
Um,
Who's right?
Who's right?
Who's wrong?
Who's wrong?
I just want my own clarity,
I just want my own clarity.
because wanted and unwanted often go together forever.
They said wanted and unwanted often go together forever.
Top of the head. But it's unwanted.
It's really unwanted.
Eyebrow. But they want it.
They want it.
And they are. I can't reconcile that.
I can't reconcile that.
But I can know where I stand,
I can know where I stand.
and I can know what is wanted.
I can know what's wanted.
I can know what matters to me.
I can know what matters to me.
It's okay for me to know my aspirations,
It's okay to know my aspirations,
even if they're not always showing up,
even if they're not always showing up,
and decide that that's not a defect.
and decide that that's not a defect.
I've often thought it was a defect,
I often thought it was a defect.
but I've lived long enough to recognize that they're aspirations.
I've lived long enough to know to realize their aspirations.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's important to just kind of circling back, like when there's something really big and hard in our lives, it's hard to just kind of go, "Oh, I'm gonna find the good things in there." I'm not. I don't think any of us are saying that. Um, and we can try to find yes and I think it's like this big bad thing is happening. I'm so grateful I have some support. I'm so grateful there's people I can talk to or I have these skills, but the big bad is still there. And someone shared in the chat how, and I resonate with this, is like when you're talking to someone that only wants to see the good and you're talking about one of these big bad things, is like I don't it's they shared it, it's that they don't feel like they can be authentic without being judged, and feels like they're just ignoring the whole story. And I get that. It feels like and they're only seeing a filtered part of me. They're not being able to be with me with the hurt or the confusion or the worry that I might have. It's like, "Oh no, it'll all turn out great." And it's like, "Yeah, that's too much sugar. No, I don't like it." And it's not real. So I like to be with people that can be with me as I am in my experience, and it's fine to like point out some positives, but not to filter and not to ignore the parts of it that matter to me, 'cause that's really hard to connect. Um, when someone's doing that, it's just like I have to defend. I feel like I have to defend myself from your the positivity and it's almost like they're trying to torque my story to fit their worldview and fit what they're trying to create, and that's just not comfortable to me. So I think it's the people that I feel close to and am building deeper relationships are people that I can talk to about the negative things. Like Rick and I will talk sometimes, and one of us will say, I just really need to vent. And we'll just give space to the things that are bothering us. And doesn't mean we need to dwell there or like fester or egg each other on, but it's there's space for that feeling. There's not a need to deny it or pretend it's not there. Um, so I like that you brought that up. I think that's important to be able to there are things that we don't like, and then other people can see it. Like I love the fence story. It's like the fence people think this is fabulous. The
Fabulous.
bear probably was very happy the fence tipped over. It was easier to get up for her. It's like from different perspectives, it might be very different. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about how the world is so different right now. We have groups of people that are like, how could this happen? And this other group's like, yeah, do more. And I really think a lot of it is the viewpoint on life. Like people, there's some people that think their job is to extract as much from other people and get away with as much as they can and like try to force the world to be how they wanted. And it doesn't really matter if it harms other people very much. It's they feel like they're doing a good job when they're extracting as much as they can. And there's a lot of people that are like, no, we want to like I think it was more a nurturing economy where it's like, I'm not trying to extract things from you. I want the whole group to thrive and be good. And like, I don't want to take something that you need to make myself better. I want us all to have enough. And it's just a different philosophy. And maybe there's some people in Buddhism that think that that's part of the evolutionary path. They have to go through that first. And, I'm not sure what I believe on that, but I do think that there's having these very different philosophical viewpoints means that sometimes one person can think something is great and another person can think it's like really, really horrible. And I think,
And that is where I think, oh, I'm sorry, I interrupt.
oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I love that we have so many things going here.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge that one of the reasons I do this work is I want more people like those of us on the call who can actually live a more nuanced life where the fact that you're down or I'm down or I had a really, if I'm in the middle of having a terrible Friday, I don't want someone to say, well, look on the bright side.
No, let me show you the middle finger here.
Well, what's interesting is that if we're able to recognize each other as having, yeah, there's this hard vein of reality in your world. And I've noticed by getting to know you deeply and holding a space where, yeah, that's human, right? That there are little things like the fire azaleas or the happy bushes, um, that are also part of your world. I can't help myself if someone really is stuck in solo, um, they're really down. It brings out like this is a situation I'd love to be healing, but not bypassing. Healing says, I can see some things that you might notice, but it's not my job to point them at you. It might be, or whack, throw them at you.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but I can be like, yeah, is there more? And that's hard. And what can I do to hold at least a neutral space for you? Um, I'll say that for a period of time in my life, it was a long time ago, um, I I was so filtered out against the wanted that even though I was really surrounded by so many things, and I can harvest them now many decades later, like, ooh, that was fun. That was great. That was healing for me.
Mhm.
I didn't notice it at the time, but I wasn't very open. And there are people right now who their stress level is so high that if you bring them any reality, unwanted reality, they do not know what to do with it other than latch onto some bypass. And it's hard. I wish we lived in a world with more abundant capacity for emotional presence. I am not noticing it. You know, I, even with people that I know have the capacity, there are some things that are just too raw for them to hear deeply. And even just a moment of realness, you can tell that was hard for them.
Yeah.
And if we get good at saying, oh, what's going on there is it's not about me, they can't actually hold my reality. And that can feel, my primitive brain goes, well, they should. But that's my primitive brain. My heart goes, yeah, I've been there. And I seek out people that can hold a reality. That's why I have a circle, to be that person as well as have that in my world. So it reminds me that they're good. They're people that can't always hold all of it. I wouldn't want to expect people to hold my unwanted as if it's their own. But I'm grateful that the people closest to me, even professionally, they recognize I'm a human. And I don't have to pretend that, like my dad did, that everything's going fine, and neither do you. But with some people, pretending is on the menu, and it's all that's on the menu. And and also it goes both ways. The positive, like, oh, everything's wonderful, that's a strategy, as well as, um, I had this really sweet moment with my daughter. Uh, did you see what was on CNN today?
Think, wait, no.
Whoa, you just did the unwanted to my like we're trying to balance out these polarities rather than be with the sway. I
Mhm.
don't want any of us to, crash in one direction or another. At it happens. That's not a defect, but it's harder. It's harder to recover, um, than being having a wide range of being able to hold and experience. Yeah, this is an ecosystem. Those trees are down, and man, that little pine tree has a chance to grow into a magnificent tree now because it used to be in the shade. I've seen it for 2 years struggling in the shade. There's this one spot that I spend time, and there was this little tiny thing 2, 3 years later, and it's not this big, right? After Helene, it went like, I am free. While I'm looking at the dead carcass of one of the trees I used to lean against. And I can hold both. I want to cultivate a world where I can hold both. I can hold what goes great for my kids, and I can hold their emotional struggles, and for me, and for my mom, and for my partner, and all of us that are freedom kin. We want to be free, but I don't think it can be free if we have to be on one polarity or the other, because life has a way of uh, bringing in both.
It does. And I've been watching YouTube a lot, and there's a person doing a forest restoration. And I think I when you're talking about this, it just struck me that I always had this image like you should take the dead wood out and it's not useful and it's kind of ugly. And he was actually purposely killing some of the trees that were in the wrong area because a lot of birds and insects need these dead trees, standing dead trees to live. That's how they thrive. And so it was really that was an example for me, like, oh, what I think of as I've been kind of culturated, like it should be all groomed and pretty. It's like that's actually the opposite of what a thriving ecosystem needs. It does need a mixture of standing deadwood and fallen trees because that helps the ecosystem thrive. And I was like, oh wow, that's interesting for me. That was not what I would think of. You know, I see a tree down and they're so beautiful and I feel so very sad. And I was like, oh, there's some insects and birds that are probably really happy with all this knockdown. So,
Mm.
someone shared here about it's really hard to be okay when you really want something. I know the big wants are hard. It's there's an intense, complicated feelings inside that are unwanted about it, and trying to be okay with the unwanted, but not being okay and feeling stuck with the feelings coming back. I just wanted to share something that I've been exploring, and I'm glad, Rick, I'm glad for any thoughts you have too. Is I've been exploring Vipassana meditation, which is a type of meditation where you just be with the different sensations in your body, and that both good and bad. And one of the things is I have not been able to, I can tap and get over things, but I have not been able to think my way out of unwanted feelings. But when I give a lot of space for the unwanted feelings, if I can just be with it and feel the feeling, and it's not the thoughts don't shift anything for me. In fact, it seems to feed it. If I think about it, it just kind of grows bigger. But if I can, okay, what are the sensations in my body when I feel this? Oh, I have a, like, if I really want something and don't get it, it's like, oh, there's this dull ache in my chest. My body feels kind of tense. Like, if I can be with those sensations and give it space, it doesn't mean I want it less, but the intensity of the feelings seem to pass. The impermanence, they're not permanent. And every time I'm a pretty smart person normally, but every time I think this will last forever, and usually it's like 3 to 5 minutes. So it just every time I think this is forever and I can't do it, but if I just do it for even for a few seconds and a few seconds more, it seems to pull some of the angst out, and then I can often think of things more clearly and say, "Oh, I really wanted that, but why did I want that? What did I think I would get out of that?" Once some of the angst has been drained off, I'm like, "Oh, I really wanted that experience, and I can't have it with that person maybe." Like, I have a friend that's kind of drifted away, and we're just not friends anymore, and it's very sad for me at times, but it's like, "Oh, but I really like that experience of going out to dinner and having a really nice dinner." And now I have the space and awareness to say, "Oh, is there someone else I could go out with? And if not, can I start looking for that?" Rather than being caught up in the thoughts of it over and over and over again. And I'm curious about that. I'm still exploring that and playing around with it, but it seems to help just to be with, and I can definitely do tapping too, but just what are the sensations I'm feeling? Yeah, they're unwanted. I don't like how they feel. But if I can embrace them and be with them, it seems to drain enough that I can start looking at it different, getting a new perspective, or not at least feeling more peace about it.
I most of the people that I am listening to that are doing work around this inner experience are very coming back to and going deeper and exploring the somatic side of it. Um, and in my way, I'm saying if I if it's unwanted to have the unwanted, and if it's unwanted that I find it unwanted to have the unwanted, and if I really am pissed off at myself because I have this unwantedness, I have layered this in layers and layers of paint mixed with shit, and it, what am I doing with that? And part of my work for myself is to look at, yeah, this is unwanted because what matters to me, and to ground that, like intense internal feelings for me is like, yeah, I feel really intensely like this is unwanted in my life, in my world, in my family. Okay. And you know what? It feels intense. I Because I'm an intense person. I have a lot of vitality. I am not a dying slug. I have so much juju, right? Like I can love a little tiny tree as if it is God's gift, and I can hate that person and what they're doing with a lot of intensity, right? Because I what matters to me is vitality. Now, yeah, I want to channel my vitality mostly toward, oh, guess what? So if I have something that really is unwanted that activates me, like, yeah, I have a lot of vitality about this. Notice what I just did. I brought myself back into something that's true. I don't want to be numbed out. I I don't want to be dissociated. I don't want to be drunk. I don't want to be eating myself to death. I really don't. That's unwanted. So what do? I have vitality. I have emotional richness across a wide spectrum, including profane expressions. Has this now been recorded for
Yes,
and,
Danny.
and what I can do is I can drop in and say, yeah, that is so unwanted because I like depth and safety and respect for what people find right for them. So I'm going to put a lot more of that vitality toward those people that are close enough and dear enough to me that they can receive that, that they can receive that. And I've seen pictures of some of you. I know that you've offered love to my family, that the unwantedness that you know that I have, and you probably would rather it didn't exist in the world. You care about the me and my family, and you what have you done? You've taken that, like, this is unwanted. I'm going to send Rick some appreciation. That's what I'm talking about. It's we take the energy that gets activated and stirred up, and instead of in but for me, there's an energetic pathway. It's not a doing pathway. Oh, I want this to be different. So the doing would all be about stopping that unwanted thing.
Mhm.
I have yet to find that that works nearly as well as my imagination would like to think it could.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Um, a wow, in this period of time where the unwanted is bigger and hairier and smellier, Voldemort is really alive in the world, in our world. Um, what does it mean to me, my energy? It's like, I really value um, a kind of sacred holding.
Mhm.
And I value closeness and depth and listening and presence, allowing people to be. I will say, I am now at least in the last 6 months, I am 10 times better at allowing my daughter to have her big feelings than I was 6 months ago by being so repulsed by adults who cannot manage their big feelings. I'm like, well, sweetheart, you're 5 and you're doing great. And, you know, suppressing your disappointment. No one can force you to share against your will. It's like, no, this is my rocket bar. No, Dada, you're not sharing it with me. Um, you can't coax, anything. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, she's maturing. She's not, she's 5. I can find it very unwanted that, somebody in in power or thinks that they're in power is behaving like a toddler, right? And turn my attention to my 5-year-old and help what? Cultivate a space where she sees how I'm managing an energy and imperfectly. And that's where, if there is an energy pathway inside me, if I could show you, like, where does it go from unwanted to something that's really pretty good, it's through something that matters to me, that's a core value, like vitality or freedom or safety and respect and consent, uh, deep listening to what our children want while still holding the space of being a parent. Like, those matter to me. I didn't have that the way I wanted. And whether it's coming from my past and my past experiences or coming from today, it there's a pathway there, as long as I make sure that I say, yeah, I'm really intense. And I honor that about myself. And I want to put that chi, that energy this way. Um, is that,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's very wise. And I wish there were more people in politics that had that viewpoint. Um,
yeah.
are we going to take a 7-minute break today?
Yeah, let's do that. We said we would.
Yeah,
So we're
no,
going to break for 7 minutes. If
I
you're on
think
the recording, we invite you to take a break too. And we'll be back. Welcome back. Wanted and unwanted. Oh, hold on. Things talking to me. Um, when I was growing up, when you had wanted and unwanted, we called them pros and cons. And Ben Franklin had something that he called prudential algebra or moral algebra when he was making a decision. He suggested that you take a piece of paper and you draw a line down the middle, and over the course of 3 or 4 days, you would put everything that was a pro on one side, everything a con on the other, and weigh it and be able to be be able to make a decision based upon oh, which side was predominant. Um, I think that really messed me up, to be honest, because um, when Kathy and I have been teaching about body guidance, there's a complex ecosystem: head, heart, gut, groin, how it feels in the we space that you're sharing. Um, Whereas kind of linear prudential algebra kind of gets me into my head and analyzing. And Ben was never in my head. He doesn't realize that I could list things, a lot of meaningful reasons why something is a pro. But like I started off, I could almost always come up with 1,000 cons for almost anything. Now you might look at them and like, wow, you were right out there in ridiculous land, right? Like that is so unlikely. Why are you putting that on the con side? Well, yeah, but an asteroid could hit, right? You know, do I really want to live by the ocean where the tsunami could come up? But you have all these things about living by the sea and being on the sea. You see, like I can argue for the cons really effectively. Um, but in our wanted and unwanted together, there's a freedom that I find, which is, yeah, these exist in the ecosystem. They exist on every path that I'm in on. It exists in every relationship, every house that I've ever owned or lived in or visited, every hotel room, everything has some qualities that are um wanted and unwanted. And it's like, oh, you mean that's natural.
It's
That's
not,
not
it is.
that's not an engineering defect, right? Oh, you mean I get emotional um when a boundary is being violated? When someone's making up a story about someone that is for their purposes, but not doesn't seem grounded in truth, you mean that getting upset or even ruminating on it for a while until I find a place to land with my energy, you mean that's normal? Eyebrow. You mean the unwanted is normal and natural?
You mean the unwanted is normal and natural?
Side of the eye. It's a part of every ecosystem
It's a part of every ecosystem.
and for every animal and plant on the planet.
For every animal and plant on the planet.
There's wanted and there's unwanted.
There's wanted and unwanted.
I at least am free to accept that.
At least I'm free to accept that.
It's not a defect.
It's not a defect.
It may activate my aspirations.
It may activate my aspirations.
There may be things to protect against
There may be things to protect against
or adapt around.
or adapt around.
Plants and trees do that.
Plants and trees do that.
It's been around for millions of years.
We're on for millions of years.
Don't see it stopping my lifetime.
And don't see it stopping in my lifetime.
What would happen if I embraced the freedom of that?
And it would happen if I embraced the freedom of that.
I'd, I'd be repulsed a lot less,
I'd be repulsed a lot less,
including by my own humanity.
including by my own humanity.
Where would I like to put that energy
Where would I like to put that energy?
for my thriving
For my thriving.
now and onwards?
Now and onwards. And when you're saying that, I'm like drawn to like, I think that if we didn't have unwanted things, we would still be living in caves and not having, modern medicine and education and internet. And like when I look at people that are really depressed or they're just kind of shut down or dissociated, there's just not a lot of wanting there other than to kind of get through the day. But when we have strong wantings, like they can suck. They can really suck. But I've heard of people like their child got sick and then they started a foundation and helped to discover new ways to treat people or whatever. Like we can, that wanting can also be used to create something beautiful, even though it's often really painful to be with. And I'm not saying trying to take anything away from the fact it can be very painful, but it can and no mud, no lotus, as in Buddha saying, like you have to have the mud to sometimes to create the lotus, to create something that's beautiful and beneficial to people. Um, Not that we need to seek it out. I think life brings it plenty. Um, yeah, I thank you for that tapping. It felt really nice.
Hmm. The chat's open. We have a few more minutes in the scheduled time of the workshop. require that it go all the way to the end, but we do try to finish up right on time, because it's a conversation and a skill set that continues. For the freedom kin, of which I'm consider myself one, the capacity to hold the and, I I find, um, that it's a recognition that we're not operating as intensely from our primitive brain. The primitive brain is very black and white. And if you look at the yin yang and you spend some time with it, there's the white and the black and the white, and then there's even the white and the black and the black and the white. And it really goes on infinitely. Um, and what that reminds me is even in something that looks like it's a binary, there's overlaps and intertwining and um, I like that it's a circle. It doesn't say that we cut the circle in half and one half is yin and the other half is yang. One half is masculine, one half is feminine, and one is black and one is white. There's one as good as one is bad. One is the primitive brain, though, just to recognize what we've learned over decades of studying. Um, there's a part of us that shortcuts, wanted and unwanted, when it's actually a spectrum. It's an interwoven spectrum of things that are intensely unwanted, not preferred. Can you feel the spectrum there? Like intensely unwanted. Yeah, I don't prefer that.
Yeah, but our brain
Right.
often will put it all in the same bucket of just like, ick.
Right. Do you want pineapples on your pizza today? Not today. That's unwanted. If they put it on it, I now have unwanted pineapples. My kids are like, yeah, lots of them, right? Um, so in this spectrum, that's why if my primitive brain is active, that's where this wanted, unwanted polarity is, and the tapping and the like, everything we do to bring it even more explicitly, that's unwanted at a six, a hard six, right? But that's different than unwanted at a 10 or a 10,000. Um, I can even look at like how close to home it is. It's unwanted in the world. Well, this is unwanted in like
Right
close
here.
to home, in our community, in our home, in my body. Um, and and what else is alive in me?
Yeah.
What else am I also? Go ahead.
Well, just the flip side of that, like I think we take negative, like quote unquote negative
God, are
experience
you being binary?
for the point of
Oh,
the
you're
illustration. But like, even though there might be like, I moderately don't want to do this, but I would do it and not be harmed in any way versus this is horrible. We put that, well, look, we tend to put that in a bucket of negative. In the positive realm, I think because of society's marketing for a large part, we tend to put only the celebratory, like 10 out of 10s in the good bucket. It's not, it's like, oh, I won the Nobel Prize and the Grammys and I got married on the same day. That's a good day. Like, it all went perfectly. And, this big splashy thing gets registered as good versus I was sitting quietly on my couch this morning listening to the rain and watching the flowers through the window, and it was a very quiet, good moment, like something I really enjoyed. But I think our society tends to make it so we're trained not to notice those as much, and they're so fulfilling when I practice noticing them. I like slow down and take a breath and like, what can I notice in this minute moment that I enjoy? What can I appreciate? And I think we talk a lot about appreciation and gratitude in general on when we do EFT is because it's really helpful to help us tune in and not just bypass all the like things that are quietly nice. And I think that we can often feel more depleted when we're not noticing those quiet moments. So I think that's part of this too.
and we can like the fact that I noticed that little tree over the years and notice how flourishing it is right now. Like it would. it looked more pathetic than the Charlie Brown's Christmas tree, like at times. And
Like,
it's really quite excited to be alive right now. I could feel it. And it's just a little thing, right? Now, when I saw it and I noticed, what I can say is I really like myself. So while it's a little thing, I like myself more and more. It
mm.
feels like a true expression of what I'm capable of to notice the little things. When, like Kathy said, you know, it used to be the big wins that were the ones that landed in my psyche, not all the other things that went into it. If we only celebrate the orgasm, what about all the ways that we tended and connected with one another throughout weeks of life? Like to be the person that can have a peak experience, an ecstatic experience, but also be the person that notices, just a little touch, nothing, no big deal. Oh, yes, it is,
Yeah, it is.
right? To take a pause and turn toward each other or rest your foreheads together. Is that a big deal? It is to me. It's an 11. Like that is where we can take things that are accessible, that are a part of our world, and we can't ground. I I can't make them a huge deal, right? But what I can say is that that matters to me, and I appreciate that I've cultivated and continue to cultivate this practice of noticing the little things of the people I love, the little things in nature, the little things that come my way. I got just a really short note the other day from someone I hadn't heard from for a while. It just said, "How are things in your world? I truly hope that you and your family have have some really special moments this summer." And there was such a blessing. It was a couple of words, a couple of lines, a couple of seconds, maybe a minute of sending that off. If you look at it objectively, if you look at it like kind of the linear Ben Franklin thing, but for me, it's a testimony to the interconnectedness of heart that we're cultivating around the world by doing this work. It puts us attuned and capable of doing something tender. Because if you're asking somebody, are you doing anything good this summer? And they come back with, no, I'm dying. And I'm not, but you're opening yourself to that. If you are able to hold both, that, oh yeah, we're doing this fun thing, we're doing that fun thing. No, actually, all of our plans are up in the air because dot, dot, dot. If you're the type of person that can hold both of that, that's no small thing
It's not.
in
It's
my
very
world.
mature and it requires depth and wisdom that I don't think, I mean, it's pretty rare from in my experience.
Yeah, there's 11 of us here. We've made great strides. Um,
Yeah. No, I do. I think that that kind of like, can we appreciate the fact that we're here talking about this? Growing up, this was not anywhere, this was not accessible. I remember being 5 and hiding behind the couch and saying, my parents were screaming at each other, my sister and I were crying, and there was no option. There were no self-help books in the library, there was no internet, there were no YouTube. Nobody went to therapy in that area of the world. Like it just was, that was if you were like ready to kill people crazy. Um, and so I just remember sitting there and going, there has to be a better way and I will find it. But there really wasn't. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I really had access to anything different and it was very limited. And right now it's like there's so much available out there and there's a lot of people that just don't even notice it's there. The fact that we're here talking about these hard things, I mean, how many people show up the good and the bad, like together? Like most are like, no, I
Mm.
want to learn how to make everything good all the time. What are you trying to tell me this about? the fact that we're here together talking about that, that's really special to me. And I think it shows a different viewpoint on life that is can be really, really rich. I don't know that the journey is easy. It hasn't been for me, but it's often very. Someone shared that it's good and bad, and life is amazing, and then it's awful, and it's amazing again, and then it's amazing and awful, and it's ordinary and mundane and routine, and it's beautiful. It's breathtakingly beautiful. I'm paraphrasing. There's a lot of beautiful words there, but I think it's when we open ourselves to both the heartbreak and to use her word, and also the joy and the mundane everyday things. That's like there's a richness that I've never experienced before and that I longed for as a child. So I'm really glad we're here creating something different in the world.
You know? Um, and it's okay to be angry at the suggestion of being okay or accepting the unwanted.
Yeah,
And this is where something like repetitive refusal tapping can be helpful.
yeah,
Uh, there are things that I've really like. I had so much inner resistance to it that I I needed to accept that I was just going maybe possibly going to rebel against this notion forever. And maybe that was what was right for me. And I will say there's a lot of good in the world that exists only because someone was so hateful towards something or someone or a situation that they chose to fight it, to do something different, to create something different. That exists as a pattern that humans can do. But if you find that it's an inner thing that isn't manifesting out in the world, then that kind of self tantrum, if I at least express it like this, even though I refuse to accept the unwanted,
even though I refuse to accept the unwanted,
and I've decided that there's wisdom in that.
and I've decided there's wisdom in that.
And you're not going to make me change.
You are not going to make me change.
Top of the head. I refuse.
I refuse.
Eyebrow. Part of me is giving a tantrum here.
Part of me is giving a tantrum here.
Side of the eye. That's pretty intense.
That's pretty intense.
There must be intelligence in that.
There must be intelligence in that.
It may be ancient intelligence.
Maybe ancient intelligence.
And it may be really hard won intelligence.
Or maybe really hard won intelligence.
And a part of me thinks accepting means, and I'm not going to answer for you, but like I used to think accepting means capitulating, tolerating, uh, like letting go, like it's unwanted and I have to just cope with it. But that's different than it's unwanted. And what do I want to actually be with and focus on? But I'm still going to have a tantrum about it.
And I'm still going to have a tantrum about it.
I like that I have that much vitality.
I like that I have that much vitality.
I am capable of having a tantrum.
I'm capable of having a tantrum.
It must be important to me on some level.
It must be important to me on some level.
I am having a tantrum about it.
I'm having a tantrum about it.
That is so human.
That is so human.
And I am not required to accept the unacceptable.
I am not required to accept the unacceptable.
It's my energy and I get to choose.
My energy and I get to choose.
I want my power
I want my power
and I want to use it my way.
and I want to use it my way.
And that is a skill.
And that is a skill.
And that's freedom. And I want it,
And I want it.
including to reject everything that you all have been talking about.
The need to reject everything you've all been talking about. I think there's wisdom in that sometimes. There's times when I haven't wanted to accept something and then I fought and gnashed my teeth and I found a different solution. There's nothing wrong with looking for other solutions. I think the point at some point, sometimes, not always, but sometimes I found there isn't a solution for something. There's many solutions to many things and things we don't always think about, but sometimes I create unnecessary suffering once I've determined there is, tried all the things, and now can I help myself process the fact that I'm having to face something I don't want to. And we all get to choose when that is and if that is for ourselves.
If you do work like this, where you're sharing what works for you, you you discover sometimes that the biggest gift that you give someone is that they get the freedom to reject what you're saying, and that in that rejection they are they are freed up to tap into their own artistry, their own wisdom, which is different than mine. I love that there's as much resonance around my concepts for thriving. And I deeply appreciate when people bounce off, whether it's something specific. I That's part of the freedom kin, is that, oh, if whatever the experience is inside of you is a no around this,
We'll take it.
I I I trust that your innate wisdom will take you in the direction of your aspirations, whether quickly or decisively, or like you said, Kathy. Sometimes we evolve into it. When I started tapping, there were things that some tapping people were asserting that, no, you have to do it this way, and I was like,
No, I don't. I like the phrase.
oh,
It's
sort of in a profane mood. I didn't share what my reaction was, which you might guess. Um, I went in a different direction in that repulsion. Um,
I love the Al-Anon phrase.
I like where I am.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Al-Anon and AA, they often use take what you like and leave the rest. And I think that's a really like when people are sharing stuff, if something doesn't resonate for you or it feels wrong, please don't apply it. It's you're the one having to live with what you're experiencing, and your no is valid and useful.
Well, and I don't require that people who love me and that I love see everything the same way, and some people do. So like I really trust. To me, it's a deepening of friendship when someone can say that really is not the way I'm going to orient. Love you, and that is not. I reject this approach or that perspective as being right for me, without necessarily setting themselves tribally as now black and white.
You have to go away.
Right. That's where the wanted and the unwanted, when it comes to ideas, thoughts, concepts, approaches, what matters most. For some people, it's adventure. For some people, it's security. You know, and those don't always mesh up. But if we can allow more and in the thoughts and attitudes of each other, yeah, we'll have more friends. We'll feel more kinship. We'll have more realness, in my view. And some, opinions vary. Um, Thank you for doing this, Kathy,
Oh,
for co-creating. And
thanks for all the feedback from people in chat and the engagement. It's beautiful, and I really appreciate what you shared, Rick. Thanks for helping here a little bit.
thanks to those in the chat that have helped make it a workshop.
Yes, love it.
And we're exploring some ideas for next month. If there are things around emotional freedom and thriving that are appealing for us to cover, you think, for yourself, our email's open, support@thrivingnow.com. It comes to Kathy and me. Um, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.